incredibly important issue that we're going to discuss. We're going to hear from the public on the Tijuana sewage impacts and the crisis down in Imperial Beach and some of the other South San Diego communities. This item was really to talk about and to give updates on the work that Commissioner Aguirre, our staff, particularly Mr. Tufel and myself, have been working along with the executive director on this issue to draw attention to it and to talk with, collaborate with the senior levels of the state government and the governor's office. And so I just am incredibly pleased and just so grateful to our governor. He issued a letter this morning to the president, to President Biden. I'm just going to read you the first paragraph, which says, "Dear President Biden, I write to request your urgent assistance to secure federal funding in a supplemental appropriations measure and the administration's fiscal year 2025 budget to repair the South Bay International Treatment Plant in San Diego, California, which is owned and administered by the U.S. section of the International Boundary and Water Commission, the IBWC, as a result of needed upgrades and repairs to the ITP. Untreated wastewater is polluting the beaches of Southern California, resulting in months of beach closures and an ongoing environmental and public health crisis. We need our federal partners to address this federal responsibility." And I just am so grateful that the governor has taken this action which reflects years of work by the community members in Imperial Beach, as well as the really hard work and focus of our senior state officials, particularly the senior staff in the governor's office, working with him on this issue, as well as Secretary Yana Gonzalez and Secretary Wade Crowfoot. So I want to just let folks know that we still want to hear your public testimony. It is critically important because it's a public record. We want to hear what you have to say, but I thought it was really important for you to know that our governor has acted. He is fully engaged and is engaging with the federal government, and that the Coastal Commission, commissioners, as well as staff will continue to work closely with our state partners and with any of the federal agencies as directed. So with that, I think what I'll do is I'm going to turn to Commissioner Aguirre for a few comments. Then we'll hear from our staff, Cassidy Tufel, who will talk about some of the technical elements. Then we'll go to our public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. So with that, I'd like to turn it to Commissioner Aguirre.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you, Governor Newsom, and your entire team for prioritizing this issue that has been existential threat to this community, the community of Imperial Beach, the community of Coronado, the community of South San Diego. You know, I very much appreciate all the work that his office has done, all the meetings they've had with us. Same with Secretary Yana Garcia and Secretary Crowfoot. Obviously, I continue to emphasize that this is not just an issue of public health, but also of coastal access. Today marks the 221st consecutive day that Imperial Beach has been closed, and the 608th consecutive day that Borderfield State Park Beach has been closed. So I am just very, very grateful to Governor Newsom. This is obviously an international issue. It is a a federal issue, it is a state issue, it is a regional issue, it is a local issue. And I think collectively, it is upon all of us to ensure that we address this, and not just in the decadal scale, but in the immediate scale. Because I can't describe how heartbreaking it is to look a kid in the eye and explain to him or her, your beach is closed, and there's this red tape here or this process there that needs to take place. They don't understand. All they understand is that they can't swim in their beach. How do you look an ex-Navy SEAL in the eye that contracted MRSA and lost half his arm due to exposure to polluted water, that, you made the sacrifice when you didn't really need to, when you were just training to go to battle? And how do you explain to a community that you're not less than, when everything has pointed to being treated as less than? So I just am incredibly grateful to the chair and to all of my fellow commissioners and to everybody who's scheduled to talk today to share your lived experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Brownsy. I've been sitting here listening to these comments and just alternately tearing up. And Mayor Aguirre, the times that I've spoken with you, I can see now, why this has just been weighing on you so heavily, and just your urgency in this situation. And I really want to thank the community members and the mayor, their beloved mayor, that really came across, for really digging into this issue and for really pursuing it, and for working tirelessly, to make sure that their community has access to nature. And I've been sitting here thinking, just the image of parents telling their 2-year-olds, no, you can't go in the water, and no, we can't do this today. And a pediatrician, looking at the children and just counting which ones are potentially going to get sick and wind up in the emergency room is just unthinkable in California. And nature should really be a place where we go to get healthy, and where we go to cool down and enjoy ourselves, and to get some peace, and not a place where we should worry about getting sick, especially the California coast, which is just so iconic. But I want you to know that this situation does have the administration's focused attention, and we are deeply concerned about this. And for months now, Cal EPA and the California Natural Resources Agency have been involved in a multi-jurisdictional effort, and the governor's office has also been, actively engaged, and we're coordinating with them and really working to try and identify solutions and next steps. And like all of you, I think we all want to see things move faster, but we also, really need to make sure that we're doing this correctly, and taking the right steps. So, as many of you know, the secretaries for Cal EPA and CNRA sent a letter on June 30th to the congressional delegation of San Diego region for an additional 140 million to address the crisis, and the entire delegation responded. And they've also reflected our sentiment that this is an absolute priority. And then this morning, as you heard from Chair Brownsy, Governor Newsom sent a letter to the Biden administration. So, I know the work is continuing, and I know this isn't, obviously the end of it, but what I do want to say is, we really want you to know that we hear you, and we see you, and we see the impacts to the community, and we're going to continue to work to get resources needed to address them. And we're doing what we can. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Schwartz. Okay, kind of like saying that. There you go. I'm going to go to Commissioner Harmon, then Cummings, Hart, Turnbull, Sanders, then Uranga.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to echo many of those comments, starting with thanks first to the public commenters. That was very moving testimony, particularly the information around the childhood illnesses that that was very impactful, and I really appreciate having that information. Excuse me. Of course, to it's a drawer here that I didn't expect. To Commissioner Aguirre for her tireless leadership. I mean, just an incredible champion, and for educating me, and as I will speak about in a moment, educating my colleagues in Santa Barbara about what is happening. I'm very grateful to you and to Chair Brownsy for your work in bringing forward attention to this matter. Of course, the letter that Governor Newsom sent this morning is momentous and worthwhile, very worthwhile for us to recognize and celebrate today. Very briefly, I just want to say some of you may remember that last month I spoke a little bit about how when I went back to Santa Barbara and shared with my colleagues on the city council about what has been happening for a decade plus in Imperial Beach and the surrounding areas, there was just absolute shock from my colleagues. And in the last month, the city of Santa Barbara, through our mayor, Randy Rouse, has sent a letter of support to the Biden administration standing with Imperial Beach. And so I have been tasked by my colleagues on the Santa Barbara City Council with coming here today and publicly stating that we stand shoulder to shoulder with Imperial Beach, with the cities who have done the same, that we are with you, and that your fight is our fight as a coastal city. And really, it matters to every Californian. And so we stand with you. Very excited about this development today, but we in Santa Barbara, and I as an individual, believe that more is necessary, that this is critical, that it is an emergency, and that both a state and federal declaration of such is necessary, and it is what the people of Imperial Beach and the surrounding communities deserve, and no less. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harmon. Commissioner Cummings.
Just want to echo the sentiments of wanting to thank all the members of the public who showed up today. And I'm really encouraged by the letter that the governor was able to send. I was just, as this conversation was happening this morning, was just thinking about, whether there's an opportunity for those of us who represent cities to really engage with the League of Cities, and those of us who represent counties to engage with CSAC to maybe see if we can get those bodies to make formal declarations of support of this effort and send letters as well. I think that's a really powerful way for us to send a message that California cities and California counties stand in solidarity with Imperial Beach and all the impacted communities. And so I think to the extent that we can have a conversation within the boundaries of the Bagley sorry, I'm used to saying the Brown Act, but Bagley-Kingsley Act, that that maybe we collectively get together and send letters to those respective groups on behalf of those of us who are supervisors and those who are city representatives, really urging CSAC and the League of Cities to, whether it's putting it on the agenda for the next meetings that are coming up for us to be able to vote and take a formal position, or to what extent we can have those bodies send letters of support out, because I think they would be really impactful for us to use our power in that way. So thank you.
In response to that, I believe it would be appropriate, and the commission could send letters asking the league and CSAC to support the governor's request to the president to expedite and fund the repair and the solution to the Tijuana pollution. So we can do that. And I think you could also do it as an individual.
You have my second on that one.
I'm sorry, what?
You have my second. I second my second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, I move, and Commissioner Uranga seconds. So we'll just hear more from commissioners, and then we'll call the roll on that. Thank you, Commissioner. So it was so out of context for me. Anyway, because I never make motions, so, but thank you very much. Okay, so really appreciate the comments. And next we have Vice Chair Hart and then Commissioner Turnbull Sanders.
Thank you so much, Chair. And just returning to Commissioner Cummings and the motion I would say that for all of us that don't represent cities, but are here representing, in our role representing the state as a whole, there's absolutely no reason why we can't go to our counties, to our cities, and specifically ask them for support. I know for Sonoma County, I was just reflecting on this after listening to the incredible speakers. And of course, I've been engaged in speaking with Commissioner/Mayor Aguirre on this, and just, it's an apocalyptic situation. It's one of those situations that you see on a really scary movie or a show that you really almost have to turn away from. The idea that these beautiful beaches, that it's not just a matter of not being able to swim in them, it's that they are causing this community to be incredibly ill. It's our ocean has turned from this amazing resource and beautiful asset for all things. But, the economy is one of the ones you don't think about, but it's just devastating to the economy. But for children and everyone, the idea that the ocean is turned into something poisonous in this area is just so heartbreaking. And I'm just so grateful to you, and especially to Governor Newsom now, to take this extraordinary step, to send such a strong letter to President Biden. And, I do think that this is going to have a major impact. For one thing, Congress has appropriated $300 million in 2020 that apparently has not been spent. That's alarming, to say the least. So that within the letter, he specifically requests that funding be utilized immediately to complete the repairs and deferred maintenance to the plant. I just think is absolutely right on, and it's great to see that. So just want to say again, and join with my colleagues and all the speakers and everyone, thanking our Commissioner/Mayor for her incredible commitment. And, to me, it shows what is a politician? What is a politician? What can they really do when they care and they're committed, and every ounce of their being determines that I am going to do all I can to solve this, or to work with everyone to solve this. So I'm just so grateful to you, Paloma. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Turnbull Sanders.
Thank you, Chair Brownsie. I would like to associate myself with the comments of my fellow commissioners, and also really thank Commissioner and Mayor Aguirre for all of your hard work and dedication to this issue. Like my colleagues, my heart is broken for hearing these stories about young children. As a mom, thinking about not being able to have my children play in the ocean is tragic. But I think even more tragic is the environmental health issues. And I think just also taking a step back, this kind of situation doesn't happen, overnight. This is a long time disinvestment in communities that I think Commissioner Aguirre, you had mentioned, are seen by some, and whether they're seen by some or not, they are treated as less than. And you see that in the lack of investment in the public infrastructure. You see that in the lack of investment in social services. You can see it all the way down the line through schools and many other arenas. And so this is part of something that we as a society have to reckon with, and that is looking at making sure that we don't have groups of people that are seen as less than in our society. And that's at the heart of the environmental justice policy, and thinking about, how do we address those issues within the bounds of the Coastal Act, but also the creativity, Commissioner Aguirre, that you have put together a broader coalition to really bring in all of these things together, is the way that we will have to be able to get something done, and is a testament to your leadership. And I'm just proud to serve beside you. I also thank the governor for taking the first step among many to come to send the letter to President Biden. but I would like us to make sure that we keep this at the forefront of our work going forward, because there's almost no bigger pressing issue than something like this happening. And, this is the United States. We cannot, as a leader in the world, we cannot abide this. And so I just would like to strongly suggest that we continue to agendize this issue and make sure that we stay on top of it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Uranga.
You sort of walked into that emotion.
Before you get going there, council advised me, since we didn't notice
Okay.
that we can't do a motion, but we can do a letter. So
Okay.
rest assured, a letter will be sent expressing the sentiments.
I had a emotion. I don't care. I'm behind it. 100%. When I first joined the commission in 2015, this matter was brought up by then Supervisor for the Commission, Greg Cox, brought it to our attention. And I think back then, it was viewed more like temporary. It was just an accident. There was a spill. We'll clean it up. Well, here we are still, 10 years later, still dealing with the same issue. But thank you for the tenacity, perseverance of the mayor of Imperial Beach to keep this at the forefront, to keep it going. The wheels of bureaucracy are slow, but they're slow, but they're moving. And I'm glad to see that we finally have stars aligned to where there could be finally some action to clean this up. Long overdue, 100% behind the action. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wilson.
I just want to add from the northern end of the state that I'll be definitely seeking support from our local governmental agencies. But I want to say that there's a little. I see that it was just the trajectory is good from this perspective about the political and community and statewide awareness that has been brought to this by Commissioner Geary, and I really want to appreciate that. And why I say that trajectory is good is because only from the experience that we've had in Northern California around the Klamath Dam removals. And I want to put out that took time, and it took the concerted effort of a broad range of folks, but really around tribal organizations and folks there that were impacted so deeply with relationship to water quality that was impacting everyone's ability to access those rivers as humans and then as food source. And I just want to say that 10 or even 15 years ago, we didn't think that we would be here today with the removal of those dams happening now, and we are. And it was through this kind of work that happened. And so from that perspective, I'm not saying that we slow down, that we give up, or that anything like that. I'm saying that this is a good path, and I really appreciate everyone's efforts on this. And so we'll be standing side by side on that from our end of the state. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Really good to have that context, I think. All right, Commissioner Notoff.
I have to say, I never thought I'd see the Klamath dams come down, so that there is hope. Keep hope alive. But I did want to acknowledge the importance of the letter that went in today, but with the wonderful testimony from the public, they really have identified that declaration of an emergency is required to do this. So I wanted to drill a little bit down and understand what would we get with that declaration that we don't have now. And I don't know if Commissioner Geary, you want to do that, and how can the commission help move that forward? Is that what you're talking about, as the letter, as we would do something on that? What is our next step is my.
Okay, Commissioner
comment.
Aguirre will go first and then I'll
Okay.
follow up with some technical information.
So the city of Imperial Beach did send a letter to Governor Newsom asking him to declare a state of emergency with the idea that it would cut the red tape, just to make it as simple as day, right? As clear as day. The issue is that the $300 million that were secured to expand the plant are now insufficient. One, because inflation, two, because of this identified deferred maintenance that is now being estimated at $150 million. So whatever path we need to take to cut through the appropriations process, through cut through the red tape, to make sure that all of the funding that's necessary to go to the plan to really make an impact and see beach closure reduction days is what we're supporting. So I like I mentioned, you know, my gratitude to Governor Newsom for the letter. I think elevating it at the level of the Biden administration is incredibly important. And if that means that we need an executive order, whether a federal declaration of a state of emergency or an executive order to, you know, waive the procurement, bidding, and any other law that is related to this issue waived, then that's what we support. Just like when the overpass in the state of Philadelphia collapsed because of deferred maintenance, there was an executive order signed by Governor Shapiro, and they cut through the red tape by waiving the bidding and procurement process, and there was access to federal funds immediately, right? And now they're in the process of completing that emergency collapse.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'm just going to fill in a little details that, and Commissioner Aguirre and I have been in conversations with the secretaries of Cal EPA and CNRA, so natural resources. So for the last month. So what's going on? And then we've been talking to the senior staff in the governor's office. And so what's going on right now is that they're running all the traps in terms of trying to determine exactly what Commissioner Aguirre just said, which is what is the most effective, direct way to get access to additional monies now. So what they're trying to do, and it's not a reluctance around, you know, states of emergency and all this other stuff. It's really just a technical, because FEMA has rules and then this one's got rules and U.S. EPA has rules. So what they're trying to do, they have their staff prioritizing going through the checklist to then come back to Commissioner Aguirre and to the Coastal Commission and to the communities and to the political leadership that's been involved in this. So we have not only the work that Commissioner Aguirre has done with her South San Diego coastal communities, but the San Diego County Board of Supervisors has prioritized this, as well as the state legislative and congressional delegation, all from San Diego. And now, and the governor's office, as well as the agencies, have all prioritized this. So the issue is we're going to learn in the next few days the follow-up steps. Clearly, the governor's letter was the first decisive action in terms of notifying the U.S. President, our President Biden, to prioritize this in terms of the funding in the budget, as well as releasing those funds that currently exist, and also prioritizing the backfill monies because of the maintenance and repair. So we're expecting Commissioner Aguirre and I, and we'll be coordinating with our coastal staff, follow-up conversations in terms of the some of the specifics with respect to that. That's why we're saying at this point in time, the most direct way to communicate is to support what the governor has done in this letter, but to not. And so I want to assure the commissioners that Commissioner Aguirre and I, this was an inflection point to have the governor send this letter. It's the culmination of a lot of work by the Newsom administration to understand the framework, and now it's filling in the details. So we'll be following up with them. We'll be working with our staff and collaborating with all our sister agencies, to move this forward, to not let it drop, and to ensure that the impacts, as Commissioner Aguirre said, the impacts in terms of the reduction of closures and also the transformation of their beautiful beach and ocean from a poisonous and scary resource into the beautiful and healthful experience that most Californians expect when they go to the beach. So Commissioner Aguirre, did you want to add anything to what I said, or just trying to provide some context, Commissioner?
Just lastly, I want to just be very, express my gratitude, deep gratitude to all the callers that shared their experiences today, and their studies, their research, and how they're being impacted economically and in their quality of life. I want to thank Commissioner Harmon and the city of Santa Barbara for standing united with us. And thank you, Commissioner Cummings, for suggesting the CSAC and League of Cities. And, again, I think this is an inflection point for sure. A step in the right direction that'll get us to where we need today. Because like I said, at the end of the day, is it really making an impact? And not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but today. Thank you.
Commissioner Nothoff, did you have any additional comments?
No, that's great to hear. One thing that I could offer is if there's additional work that needs to be done to help get the California congressional delegation and both the House and the Senate more engaged, I'm happy to help with that effort.
That is awesome. And I think that this is really, we have the dedication and the work of one community to stand for their community members and to demand that these issues be addressed. And to you, Commissioner Aguirre, and all your efforts over the years, you have built a political movement at this moment. And I think it is, as I said earlier, an inflection point. I believe that action will beget action, will beget action. And so I couldn't be more grateful to your efforts, to the efforts of all of the staffs that have been involved in this, our staff and our sister agencies and the governor's staff, and our deepest thanks to the governor for recognizing the importance of this issue and standing with the community of Imperial Beach to address this issue. So I'm sure we'll have more. This will be agendized going forward, and there'll be updates, and we will keep everybody apprised of all of the actions that are going to be taken. Okay, and with that, again, thank you to the public. It was incredibly important. Your voices really help us understand the community impacts. So, all right.